Okay, everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to see so many familiar faces, and thank you for joining us. This is so exciting for us to be having this session. I say a lot of faces that I see that are here locally. My heart is a little bit pinching because I say a lot of us that I do see here represented that are here. A lot of us have made the choice to be in Haiti, and circumstances make us here, make it that we are here, and maybe for a couple of years or maybe the rest of our lives. So this was not necessarily the plan for a lot of us, but this is what life has decided for many of us. So our goal is really to make it the best that we can make it as many of us do transition, because for our community to truly flourish, we need all of us to flourish. And that's the idea. People we know and who we have affinities with are what constitute each and all of our power bases. And the stronger the members and our power base are, the more opportunities we will be able to create for each other. So today, it's not about one of us, it's about all of us. And those who are thinking about moving here, we want you to know that there are already qualified resources that are here in many different sectors who will understand you and who will be happy to help you take those first steps. But for those who have already taken the first steps, there is collective power in connecting each other in our respective businesses. And we are in America, a market of 300 million people. As our respective networks of influence grow, and we took the habit of really connecting each other, all of us with all those opportunities will have, the impact we will have will be immeasurable. And that is the goal of this initiative. So with that, I say again, welcome to every single one of us. The format of this session will be as follows. There are 10 panelists. Each panelist will take 5 minutes to share with you what they consider to be top tips as you are moving, as you are getting, I would say, installed here in the States. You're thinking about moving. What are those things you need to be thinking about? And they will be sharing those top tips with you. And then we will move on to the next sector. If there's anything that we say that you feel requires more in-depth discussion, please make sure you note it in the chat. And with the panelists, we'll see what can be done. This is the first of many sessions that we will hold. We want this to be as inclusive as possible. If you have people you feel would need to be part of those panels to share with us what they are doing in the community, and that you feel that other people we need to bring awareness to what they're doing, please note it in the chat, because in case we don't have time within the short amount of time that we have to have that discussion, then I will make sure we read everyone in the chat and reach out to you directly. If you don't have a way to get in touch with me, I'm sure you might have a way to get in touch with somebody here on the panel, and we will make sure that we connect each other and make things happen. That's the idea. Connection is the word of the day. Collaboration is a currency, and that is what we are doing. Collaborating. Those that need information, we're here to support you. Those that have something they can offer, we want to make sure you are connected and people are aware of what you do and how you can support them. So without further ado, I will invite our very first panelist. So I should have, even before I move on, I did not introduce myself. My name is Krystel Armand. And so for those, because many of you, I see so many familiar faces, I think that I don't need to introduce myself. So my name is Krystel Armand, and I run an insurance agency, a brokerage firm here in the US. Third generation insurance, 70 years that my family has been in insurance in Haiti and in here. But I will be one of the panelists, but right now it's not my turn to talk. It's about, I will introduce and invite Patricia Elizee, whose specialty is immigration law. She's been in the community for over 20 years, a wealth of experience. She's very active in the community as well. I met her in a board that, the HACOF board that she was part of, and she does amazing things. I'm so excited that she accepted to be part of this panel and share with all of us those top tips that we need to be aware of. So welcome, Patricia, and the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Krystel. This is an amazing event. Great idea. So kudos to you. You know, our community is going through a lot right now. Our families, our friends in Haiti are having to make very important, life-changing decisions for themselves and their families. And it's hard sometimes, right? We've been there. We have family members going through it. So this is definitely a great way to provide support and guidance. And thank you so much for including me in this initiative. So before I get started, I just want to, I guess, tell you guys just a little bit about myself. As Krystel said, I'm an immigration attorney. I'm located in Miami. I've had my law firm now in the Brickell area for the past 10 years this year. So this is really what I do day in and day out. I've been involved in the community with HACOF and president of the Haitian Lawyers Association. And really my passion is to help people. I know it sounds a little bit, you know, a lot of people say that, but it's really my passion to guide folks through difficult times. And for us Haitians, I can't imagine a more difficult time than now. So what are some things that I'm telling people who are reaching out to me for guidance during our calls, right? The first big tip I would say is if you're traveling to the US, the first thing that you want to make sure you have with you are your documents, because you really don't know how long you're going to be in the US for, or what path you're going to choose for immigration purposes for yourself or for your family members. So which documents am I referring to? I'm referring to the extrait d'archives and the passports. So as you guys know, in Haiti, legally, the documents that we use and that are valid for legal purposes are not the acte de naissance. It's not the birth certificate, it's the extrait. And there's the old format, there's the new format. The old format is the one that was all in white. Currently, we're using the blue format, the updated version of the extrait d'archives. If you don't already have them, I know it's difficult right now. There are different ways of getting them. If you can get them in a consulate here in the US or work with someone who could get it for you in Haiti, it's really important for you to have an extrait d'archives for your birth certificate, your spouse's birth certificates, your kids' birth certificates, the extrait for your marriage certificate, the extrait for your former spouse's death certificate, if that applies. Why? Because these are some basic documents that any attorney is really going to need to review and to use in coming up with a plan for your case if it's applicable. I'm also mentioning passports, not just your current passport. It would be great if you could take with you all of your former passports so that we can take a look to see the different visas that you've had. We can verify your travel history, and we can also verify whether you have different nationalities. Now, a lot of people outside of the community don't know, but we're very much so aware of that. A lot of us have passports from the UK, we have passports from France, we have passports from Germany. Each passport gives you different immigration options. So regardless of whether the passport is current or not, regardless of whether you have a visa on your passport, it's really important that you provide and you have access to all of your passports and evidence of all of your different nationalities, okay? Let's see here. The next big tip I have is reaching out to a professional. Why do I say that? In our community, and then also a lot of Latin communities, it's very common to depend on notarios to be able to do a lot of legal work for us in Haiti, which is great. That is not the case in the US. In the United States, there's a huge difference between an attorney and a notary. So while there's a lot of people who do immigration, sometimes they're not actually attorneys that are legally able to represent you if something goes wrong with USCIS. how do you verify whether someone is actually licensed or not? In Florida, so I know the panel is geared for people moving to Miami. In Florida, any attorney that's practicing in Miami is barred, has a license from the Florida bar. So you can go online, and this is really in any state. You look up the state that you're in, you look up the bar, that is BAR, you go on the website and you search the attorney's name. On the website, you'll be able to verify when your attorney got their license, if they've ever gotten into trouble in the past before, and if they did, what was it for? So this is really important, not only for immigration purposes, but also for tax purposes. I work with Pierre on a good number of our files. It is scary to see the mess that some non-professionals create in taxes, and also how that has an impact on your immigration status. So the first big tip is research the professionals that you're going to. Just don't take it for granted that they have a title or they're known for doing something. Take the time to go online and do your own research so that you are sure the person who's taking on your file, your family's information, is actually licensed and is a true professional, okay? The next big tip I would say for immigration purposes is understanding the difference between an I-94 and a visa, okay? So everyone knows the visa is put on your actual passport and it tells you it's current from this date to this date. Usually in Haiti, we get issued tourist visas for 5 years. If you have a European passport, you don't need a visa, you come in with your ESTA and you are allowed in without the visa. Now, what is the I-94? Some of you guys may remember, if you're old enough, about 10 years ago, when we traveled, you'd get a little white card in your passport. They no longer have that. Now everything is online. So after you're admitted into the US on your tourist status, it's really important that you go online, you search the I-94 website, you just go on Google, put I-94 website, it'll come up, and you can put in your name, your passport information, your passport number, etc., and it will generate an I-94 for you, which is a permis de séjour, which will tell you from your last entry, you are legally allowed to remain in the US until X date. Now, keep in mind, typically, the immigration officer at the airport has a lot of discretion. They're able to give you a permis de séjour, an I-94, that's good for a maximum of 6 months, but that's not always guaranteed. They can give it to you for 6 months, every single time you come in. Sometimes you can come in, they give it to you for 2 weeks, 2 days, 3 months. It's really up to their discretion when they take a look at your travel history, when they ask you questions, etc. Just this week, I had a conversation with a potential client who informed me that he entered the United States the same day with his wife. However, his I-94 date was different than his wife's, and that is not uncommon. So whenever you travel, you should review your I-94, print it, have it with you so you are aware of exactly until when you're able to remain in the US for. And just because your visa expires on a date doesn't mean that your I-94 will not pass that date. What does that mean? Let's say that you have a tourist visa that expires on December 31st of 2022. If you enter in November, if you enter 2 weeks before, the officer is allowed to give you up to 6 months. It's up to the officer to give you the time that he finds or she finds is appropriate for your most recent entry, okay? So I hope that was clear.
Thank you, Patricia. So I don't know if you have some final remarks that you want to have, just to make sure that everyone we can, get a chance to talk. And I wanted to say about an hour. Well, do you have a final tip you want to share with us, or final remarks?
Sure, and I'll also share my information in the chat.
Yes,
So,
in addition, Patricia, I will make sure that all the panelists, everyone that attended, will receive the information of everyone that was here so that they can get in touch with anyone that is on this panel. But yes, of course, put it in the chat as well.
Okay, no problem. So the last big tip is for everyone to understand there's different ways of getting, there's different immigration options. There's permanent options, which means a pathway to get a green card. There's a non-immigrant option, which is just a permit to be here on a temporary basis. And you can either get permanent or temporary through family relationships, through business connections or work, or through humanitarian means. So, that's it. Thank you so much. I hope you guys found it helpful, and talk to you guys soon.
Oh, thank you so much, Patricia. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Asking Patricia to take 5 minutes to talk about this topic, she had to be a champion to put in, those tips, because she could go on for like 2 hours if we asked her to make a 2-hour presentation. So thank you, Patricia, and definitely we look forward to staying in touch with you and you helping many members in the community that really need your help. Okay, so the next person that I will invite us, so taking you guys through the journey of really being here, coming here. So if you're here, you're wondering, you need a place to stay. If you're staying, maybe you were staying at the hotel, somebody's house for 1 or 2 days, but maybe you're now thinking of spending a few months and you need a place to stay. So that's why we are inviting now Raphael Roumain, who's a realtor here and out of Miami. We are inviting him to give us some top tips if we are looking to stay here and we're looking for a place to stay.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Raphael Roumain, UF graduate. I moved into Miami in July 2021, and I've been a realtor for 2 years with the CAH company. So before I begin, major props to Chris for this great initiative. I am sure it'll be helpful for a lot of people. So let's get to it. If you're looking to move to Miami within the next 6 to 12 months, my first suggestion would be to get in touch with a professional, because working with a real estate agent will definitely make the process easier for you. Matter of fact, according to a recent survey from Florida Realtors, about 75% of buyers surveyed said that their most useful source of information was actually their real estate agent. What happened is that a real estate transaction is not what you see on House Hunters on HGTV. It's actually a long process that requires obviously a long time and many people from different branches as well to work together to actually make the transaction happen. So it's important to start early, right team of professionals, which is a good thing with this Zoom call as well, because there are different professionals that can make a transaction happen actually being present today on this panel. Another thing I would like to say, Zillow. Zillow is super user-friendly. Zillow gives you a great idea what's out there, gives you the pictures of the houses. However, keep in mind, Zillow has its inaccuracies. Zestimates is not that accurate, and as well as the availabilities of properties on Zillow is not necessarily the most accurate. So it's always good to double check with your real estate agent and make sure that these informations are actually correct. Brings me to my next point. One comment I've been getting a lot is, Rafa, I see prices going down on Zillow. Does that mean prices are actually coming down? So indeed, there has been corrections and adjustments on prices from sellers. It's not the same market as the past 2 years, and the frenzy has definitely cooled down. What happened is that interest rates went up. There's more inventory on the market, meaning if you're a buyer, there's actually more choice for you to choose from. Properties are staying longer on the market. So what's happening is that sellers now who had already priced too high had to make an adjustment or have to make an adjustment and correction. Or if the seller is in an area where there are many active listings as well, there has to be some correction. However, there are some areas where, listings are pretty rare, there are not many available, and houses are still going fast whenever they pop up. So it's important to keep in mind that we are in a transition market. However, we are still in a seller's market, no matter what. For example, houses are selling at, 28% of homes, single family homes, are selling cash this year compared to 25% last year. For condos, 51% of condos this year are selling cash compared to 46% last year. So interest rates went up, people start paying cash more for the properties. I will say that listings are selling at 96 to 97% of asking price, compared to 98% last year. So just a slight drop, but not that much. And based on the latest numbers from the Florida Realtors, less than 1% of transactions this month were foreclosures. So less than 1%. So people are still equity rich because of the prices that went up so much in the last 2 years. So people have gained a lot of money on their properties. People are comfortable. Good practices from lenders, great appraisals. So this whole fear that is the market's gonna crash, so far the answer is no. Even though there's been a slowdown, but Miami is a bit different. Things are still strong here in Miami. Touching on rents quickly, you probably heard rents have gone up lately, the past 1-2 years. Things I would see like 1,200, 1,200, now we're going for 1,700. Things I used to see at 2,000 are going now 2,800. And this is within the last year or so. So the rental market is super competitive, especially the 3K and under, so $3,000 a month and under, the most competitive. So again, if you're looking to rent, important to work with a professional. It'll help you tremendously working with a real estate agent on rents. Be ready. You have to have some requirements, documents ready. For example, renter's application, bank statements, proof of income, tenant screening. So a real estate agent helps you with that. Obviously, if you're coming from Haiti and some of those requirements you don't have, do not panic. There are ways to go around it. Don't have time to go over it, on this call, but definitely feel free to contact and, we can go over. But short-term rentals as well. Short-term, many of these qualifications, it's pretty much the same for short-term. There are not many short terms, but it's still possible. I know a lot of people have been inquiring it as well. So that's that. And I can share my contacts obviously in the chat, so that any questions you may have, feel free to contact me. And since we're in the World Cup mood,
Merci, Rafa. And one of the things that I pointed out with what Rafa said, if there are certain papers that you do not have available, he's like, don't panic. Most of us, when we come from a similar background, we might have the similar situations. And when you work with somebody in the community, they've already seen that case a couple of times. It's not the first time that they would have seen a Haitian coming from Haiti missing a certain paper. So usually people within the community, when you work with people in the community, they will have a solution for you because they've seen it 20,000 times. Same thing when Patricia, she's seen probably your case many times if you come. So the papiers archive, extras archive, there's some people, if they've never worked with Haitians, they don't know what you're talking about. They don't know what papers are available. So just wanted to point that out. So we're gonna continue through the journey. So now you guys your papers are in order, thanks to Patricia. You found a place to stay, thanks to Rafa. But now you want to buy the house and you need to get a mortgage on it. So you're like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I think we're gonna call Gaetan. Gaetan, what do we do? We want to buy that house now? What do we do?
Hello, Krystel. First, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for putting this together. This is a great initiative, and I do believe it's going to help many people. I've been living in the US now for 20 years. And when I first moved here, it was not easy. It's a transition. We're accustomed to, to our little things in Haiti, and it's definitely difficult. So having people who's been there, that's done it, to guide others is a great initiative. So I'm happy to participate and to share some tips with everyone. Hopefully that can help out. So first, a quick little background about myself. I started off actually about a decade ago, actually in the financial industry, and we're doing insurance, investments, and about 6 years ago, there was a tremendous demand for refinances. So I started in the mortgage industry, actually doing refinances. And over the years, I developed partnerships and knowledge and additional licenses and credentials needed to do other things such as buying homes and stuff like that. So in the past year, I've worked with a lot of Haitians who are either moving here or looking for a second home here as a plan B maybe. So whatever it is, hopefully, again, I'll be able to share some tips that can help you. So with that said, tip number one is, if you're moving here, is open 3 credit accounts. So it could be a car, it could be credit cards, whatever it is. A lot of lenders right now are requesting that you have at least 3 trade accounts, which are basically 3 credit accounts. So make sure you have 3 open. Don't have to spend and max them out. Actually, do not do that. But even if you put $100 on it just to develop that history, it will help your credit score as well, and will eventually put you in a better position to buy a house. If you don't have a social security here and you cannot open credit accounts, there are loans called foreign nationals that you may be eligible for. So they're exactly for individuals who don't have a permanent status here in the US, and we can help with those as well. Tip number 2, save as much as you can. And the reason I say that is, if you have a bigger down payment, it opens the door for a lot other options, a lot more options for you when it comes to buying. If you have a low down payment, that's fine, but make sure at least you have a good credit score. And so that way you could qualify for maybe a FHA, where you could put as low as 3.5% down. In the past couple of years as well, there's been some other programs where they're offering 0 down, but there are some very strict requirements for those. If that's something you want to look into as well, we can. So don't be too consumed by the different types of loans. There's a lot of them, and I get people calling me, what's DSCR, what's foreign national, what's FHA. So there's a lot of loans, which leads me to my next tip. So it is good to work, of course, every mortgage broker would say that, but it is indeed good to work with a mortgage broker. There's a lot of different loan options that you can qualify for. And whereas if you go to the bank, typically they'll just try to qualify you for either FHA or conventional. And if you don't qualify, you'll get discouraged and believe you cannot buy a home. And that's far from the truth. There are a lot of options out there. Broker will help you shop for mortgage rates with different lenders. We're not basically take this program, this is what we have or not. Actually, again, they're usually a qualified and experienced broker will have a bunch of loan options available, and depending on your goals and objectives, we can help you meet those goals. All right. And my last tip is, buying a home is very important. Take your time. I know sometimes we do feel rushed. Take your time, do your pre-qualification, see what you're eligible for. When you're working with your realtor, actually, they will ask you that. And I think Raphael mentioned that as well. You do need a pre-qualification to see exactly what you're eligible for. It's going to put you in a better position to make an offer on a home as well. So, but take your time, get a second opinion. I recommend to my clients all the time, get a second opinion, even get a third opinion. So that way you're comfortable proceeding with such a large investment. It's something that that basically can impact your financial future in the long run. So again, take your time and ask questions. If you're not sure, ask questions. Don't rush and sign everything just because you're in a hurry to buy a home. All right. Anyways, thank you again, Krystel, for the time. Really appreciate sharing some tips. If you guys have more questions, feel free to reach out. Always happy to share ideas or even help you make your dreams become a reality.
Thank you so much, Gaetan. Like Gaetan said, I mean, when we're talking about large purchases like that, a small change in the interest rate can save you a lot of money. So it's not a joke. It's something really to consider, to work with somebody that knows. And especially since a lot of people, when they do come here, don't necessarily have a full credit history as somebody that's been here for 20 years, 30 years, that built a career here. So I'm glad that to know, Gaetan, that you can help our community, and that you've probably seen a lot of the cases that would be presented in front of you. I know you would be able to solve them from a lot of our community that is here. So now that Gaetan has helped us to buy the home, we're gonna have to move, right? We're gonna have to move. So to make sure that we move and that we do it efficiently, we need help. So I cannot think of a better person to guide us than Nicolas Villedrouin, that's here with us with USA on the Move. So Nicolas, share with us when we're moving, once Gaetan gets us that home with Rafa, how are we gonna move now? What can you do for us?
Gaetan, you're on mute. I mean, Nico, you're on mute.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Krystel, for this initiative, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicolas Villedrouin, and I moved to Miami in 2019. I'm an FIU graduate, and I'm in business now with USA on the Move, which is a moving company in South Florida, 3 years now. Now, when it comes to moving, there's a couple things that I like to get my customers to be aware of ahead of time. And the thing is, the first tip I would have for you guys is to schedule on time. So finding the right date for you is important because you're not only dealing with yourself, you're dealing with a moving company. Oftentimes you're dealing with a building or other factors as well. So finding the right date for you, you have to schedule at least 2 to 4 weeks ahead, so that all parties involved have the right, everything is scheduled properly. Now, if you're dealing with a building, make sure your building has those dates available for you, especially if you're dealing with 2 different buildings. Now, oftentimes, you're dealing with closing dates, and they may tell you December 15th is your closing date, and we all know sometimes it happen that way. So if you're in a case where you're not sure whether you will close on the 15th and you have to schedule for a moving company, just make sure that you communicate that with them and to let them know, hey, we might have to be flexible because we might not close on the day that we plan on closing. Now, the second tip, and probably the most important one that I have for you guys, is about saving money. Moving can be extremely expensive, and the ways to save would be, first, to pack in ahead of time. There's nothing that takes more time because most moving companies charge by the hour, and nothing takes more time than having to grab miscellaneous items one at a time. So packing ahead of time, making sure everything is in boxes ahead of time is definitely a way to save money. Minimizing the miscellaneous items. Make sure all the areas that are walkable, make sure you don't have a clutter in the house or in the apartment or in the office, so that the movers are able to walk through without any interruptions, because that also can delay the move. So now the third tip that I have for you guys is about communication. It's very, very important to communicate with the company, to be aware of their policies, because different companies have different policies, and oftentimes in the email they send you, they have their company policy. An example would be, for example, we've had customers that had a whole wine cellar, but moving companies are not allowed to transport liquids because it's hazardous. It could be hazardous for the truck, for the movers, it's actually illegal to transport alcohol without a license. So things like that you need to be aware of, because if you have a wine cellar and you have to move out at a certain date, you might be stuck with your wine cellar in the apartment or whatnot. Okay. Now, the biggest issue that I've seen in moving is dealing with buildings. So it's very important when you're dealing with a building that has an elevator, like in Brickell and Wynwood, all these areas that have buildings that with an HOA in which you have to have insurance and all of that. It's important to reserve the elevators and reserve the building, the time slot for the loading dock on time. Because you don't want to have, especially, I mentioned earlier that it's better to have 2 to 4 weeks, to schedule 2 to 4 weeks ahead of time. If you're dealing with 2 buildings, for example, what might happen is you have an elevator available for the date you want in one building, and that date is not available for the next building. In that case, 2 months ahead of time is better. You know, if you're able to schedule 2 months ahead of time, that gives you enough time to, you know, find the right date for the moving company, for yourself, and for the 2 buildings. To save money as well when it comes to buildings, please make sure, you know, that's something I can't stress enough when I'm talking to my customers. Please make sure that that the elevator is reserved just for you. It's not always possible, but having the elevator reserved just for you can save you a lot of money, a lot of time, because if many people are using the elevator at the same time, you're looking at, you know, extended amount of times for moving, which can cost you a lot more. Now, that's pretty much all the tips that I have for you guys. Thank you, Krystel, again.
And thank you, Nicolas. Thank you for sharing all those tips, because I'm sure if somebody is moving, there's a lot of costs involved. So those tips to really save are really invaluable. We appreciate it. Gaetan, Nicolas, please share your information on the chat. But again, I will be sharing the information. Anybody that joined will be getting everyone's contact information. So thank you, Nicolas. And yes, thank you for sharing with us those precious tips. So now that we have a home, we're here, we have a home, thanks to Gaetan and to Rafa. And now we have somebody to move from wherever we were to where we're going. But now we need to decorate that home, and we need to make sure we do it as efficiently as possible. So I cannot think of a better person to help us with this task than Cecilia Russo. Cecilia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Krystel. Hello, everybody. So I'm Cecilia Russo. I moved to Miami in July 2021. I'm an interior architect. I'm specialized in architectural lighting. Some of you know me from Haiti through Illumina, my lighting store and services. But here in Miami, I do practically the same. I offer lighting studies and installations for residential, commercial, and landscape projects. So while I'm talking, I'm just gonna share a little bit of my screen so you can see some pictures of some of the works I had to do. Do you see my screen?
Not yet, but you can go ahead and share it. Yes, now we do.
Okay, so I'm just gonna pass some pictures and keep on passing while I'm talking. So in addition to that, since I'm an interior architect, you can say interior designer if you prefer, I do remodeling, furnishing, and accessorizing for spaces. I have recently done some turnkey projects for some clients, and the turnkey projects, it includes remodeling of kitchen, bathrooms, offices, and it goes from that to complete furnishing and going all the way to accessorizing with some linens, kitchen appliances, tableware, even a wardrobe arrangements. So keep in mind that I always include lighting in all my projects since this is my specialty. And so one of the first tips I would like to give you is that today it's really hard to find a contractor. And to do renovations, you do need a contractor. You do need a designer and a contractor. And so I suggest that you go with a referred one, because most of the houses where you live, especially the ones with associations, will ask you to have a contractor and permits when it applies. So people have been complaining in Florida about contractors. So yes, definitely take a contractor that was referred to you. Not only look at the reviews online, but ask around. The second tip I would like to give is on the materials. When you're doing renovations, you need to choose materials that are easier to clean, because I'm coming from Haiti. We have a lot more help than in the US. So choose kitchen counters that are easy to clean, kitchen floors, flooring that's, you know, easy to clean too. And my last tip would be on the lighting. If you're gonna have outdoor lighting, is to go with a dusk to dawn system or a timer system, where you can simplify your life and you don't have to remind yourself to turn on and off lighting. So that's about it. And you can find me on Instagram. I do have an Instagram page. I used to be l'éclairagiste on Instagram, but I have to say, since I came to the US, people cannot pronounce l'éclairagiste. All my American clients, they can't. So I recently changed it to Cecilia Russo lighting and keep it simple. There you go. Thank you, Krystel.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cecilia. And it's like there's so many aspects to, you know, having and being part of a new community, because we have some personal needs that we need our family to be well. And then we have some needs that are, you know, more professional for us to be able to grow professionally. But before we're able to do anything, we need to make sure we are in an environment that we, that is the right setting to allow us, you know, to take off and start the new life, whether it's a new professional path or whether it's just a new environment for the family. And we're still working on our business in Haiti and our business in Haiti. So thank you, Cecilia, and congratulations on those beautiful pictures. Wow. Wow, it makes me really want to make sure that I have a space that you can do that for. Congratulations. Okay, great. So now that we have our home, the home is decorated, and we found a way to finance the home. We need to make sure that we secure that home and that our assets are protected. And that's actually where I come in. And as I had said, my name is Krystel Armand, for those who were not there at the beginning. And I run an insurance brokerage firm here, and we serve all lines of insurance, from property and casualty to life and health insurance. So since we were talking about homes, I will start with my top tips in terms of home. If you want to protect your new home, what would be my top tip? There are a lot of companies that are now going under because, you know, with all those storms and every time there's a disaster in this area, the companies that don't have the proper reserves are put on probation by the government until they are no longer able to accept new risk and serve their clients. So you need to make sure that your home is insured with top carriers that are top rated, and make sure that you have a carrier that will be, if there is a disaster, that will have the resources in place to be able to pay their claims. You have to know that for Florida, it's harder and harder to get home property insurance because of all the disasters there are, but we can always find a solution. So you just need to make sure you allow, you know, the time to make sure you are able to get a coverage. You don't want to stay in this country without insurance. It's required for if you have a loan. And if you don't, there's so many things that can happen, a storm, so many things. You want to make sure you're covered properly, especially since these are your hard-earned assets, all the money you have accumulated over that time. So we can help from that standpoint. If we stay on the theme of property, if you do get a car here and you do, you know, car insurance in Miami and Florida, it goes up. It's on an upward trend, and it's always going up. Every 6 months, it's going up. So to make sure what you can do to make sure you're controlling that cost, if I have top 2 tips, if you have a teenager child, I mean, somebody who's 20 is not a teenager, but a young adult or a teenager, you do not want to make them, if they live in your house, you don't want to make them the primary driver, especially if it's a sports car. If you're all living under a single home, and you might get a family policy and have the parent that is the primary driver, and the child when the child that's an adult child, have them as a secondary driver, that's going to help reduce the cost of your car insurance. If you're over 55, you can take a 2-hour course online and get some savings on your car insurance too. So that would be my top 2 tips for young and older people if you're trying to save on your car insurance. Now, if we're talking now, you guys are here, you have your home is protected, everything is squared away. My next tip will be health. Your health insurance. This is something that works differently in the States as opposed to Haiti. So in Haiti, you know, it's pretty much a private insurance or you don't. And a lot of you guys, you come here and you have an international policy. The first tip I want to give you guys, if you move here, your international policy, international health coverage is, first of all, only valid when your home of residency is Haiti and when you spend less than 6 months in the US. If you change place of residency and you have a residency status thanks to Patricia, then now you need to make sure that you have a local coverage. Now, depending on your age, it's going to vary the type of local coverage you're going to get. If you're in an individual, you might get an Obamacare policy. Some people call it ACA, Obamacare. If you have, you're a resident here, depending on your income, you might be eligible for subsidies on your health coverage. Right now, we're in open enrollment. It's the perfect timing if you're looking to get a health insurance coverage. At any time during the year, if it's the first time you're moving here and you're getting a new coverage, you can always get a new coverage. But if you're looking to reevaluate what you have, now is the time. And for those people that are getting those new health coverages, my top tip is make sure you know what doctor accepts the insurance that you're getting. Because for Obamacare, it's all network-based. So if the doctor that you want to see does not accept the insurance that you have, the carrier that you have, you will have to pay everything out of pocket. And believe me, if you're already paying, and depending on what your income level is, some people will pay nothing. And then for that same coverage, another person will pay $900, $2,000. So I don't think if you're paying $900 that you want to be paying everything out of pocket when you go and see a doctor for a primary care visit. So you need to make sure that your primary care, your specialists are in network. If you're older, if you're over 65, you might be eligible for Medicare. If your kids are under 19, there are some government programs, depending on your income, they might be eligible for CHIP, which means it's like it's related to Medicaid and you wouldn't pay anything. And then that would be, even when you go into the doctor, you would pay very little. So there are different options. Make sure you know what your options are. If I can help you figure out what is the right option for you, I'm happy to do that. I will make sure to put my information in the chat. I'm in the Kendall area, but we work with people all over the US and multiple states, all over the state, this state, and multiple other states, because we work through ourselves as well. My last tip will be when you're here, and that's like a positive things in Haiti, because you've been doing insurance in Haiti for the past 7 years. I can tell you that if you're looking for life insurance when you are in Haiti, it is the rates that you get are I would say relatively higher than it is here in the States. So you might think I'm a young adult, I don't even need to look into life insurance because I don't have a huge budget. But if you're under 45 years old, you can get $1 million of coverage for between $50 and $70, depending on your age. And if you're here and your kids depend on you, I mean, knock on wood, I want all of us to stay, as long as possible, be in perfect health. But if something happens, we want to make sure our kids have something to fall back on. And here the rates are a lot lower. So make sure if this is something you don't have that you look into, because it might cost a lot less than you initially think. So those would be my top tips when it comes to insurance. I will make sure I put my contact information in the chat below. So since I spoke about healthcare, now I spoke about your health insurance. Now, health insurance is one thing, but now accessing the healthcare is a very different thing, because the way we do it in Haiti, it's not necessarily the way it will happen in the States, unless you have a doctor like Dr. Elizee or somebody else in the community that will do everything they can to give you an experience as close to what you have been used to experiencing while being in this environment and working within the rules and the regulation of this environment. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you guys the beautiful Dr. Elizee, if you don't know her already. So welcome, Dr. Elizee.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you so much, Krystel. As everybody has said before, it's a gorgeous initiative because it fills out a lot of needs that people have, because I've been seeing quite a few people coming from Haiti, and I know there are a lot of concerns that I will address today. So a little bit about myself. I'm Dr. Roumain. I'm a family physician who has studied medicine in Haiti at Hôpital de l'Université d'État d'Haïti. But then I came to Miami many years ago, 25 years ago, and I specialized in family medicine at Jackson Memorial Hospital. I started working in private practice, but I stayed 9 years working the urgent care of Jackson Memorial Hospital, where I had trained for family medicine. Last year, so I've been working in the community for 21 years as a family physician. And last year I opened Prima Health Center. That is a clinic in North Miami Beach where we do primary care. I've been seeing quite a few people coming from Haiti, and I know there are concerns. The concern is that what I hear people telling me is that we're concerned because here in the United States, we feel like we are a number. We don't know who to go to, who to talk to. We're not sure what to do, and we're not sure also about the cost. So I'm here today to try to eliminate these concerns for you and show you that you don't need to fear, because we have resources to help you out. So how to have access to healthcare? The easiest and the best way to do it is to make sure that you find yourself a primary care physician. That primary care physician can be or a family physician like myself, or a physician who has done internal medicine. These two specialties can be your primary care physician. And when you have one, it eliminates a lot of the issues that you could be having, because you have decided that you have somebody who will be like the captain of your team, the guardian of your health, and who will be there to guide you through everything. So once you decide who's going to be your primary care physician, you make a phone call to that clinic, you call, you make an appointment, because you need a first visit to get established. At that first visit, you're going to get to know your doctor better, and they're going to get to know you. You're going to have a complete physical, you're going to have lab work, urine test, and according to your age, your health history, your family history, or the symptoms that you may or may not have, your doctor will decide what to do for you at that point. Now, prevention is extremely important, because it's as important as, treating some type of problems that you could have. So there are preventions for every age group. And when you do have a primary care physician, you don't have to worry about it, because they'll make sure that everything is done for you. Now, if you have to be sent out to a specialist or to do preventive somewhere else, like having your mammogram done, your colonoscopies, anything you might need, okay? Your primary care physician will guide you through that, and all these specialists will be sending the report to your primary care physician. So you have everything that has to do with your health with one person, instead of having everybody have a little piece of you, because you are one human being. And when you don't have everything centralized with one primary care physician, things fall into the cracks. Like this week, I saw a patient for the first time who had a mammogram done in August, but nobody followed up on it, and then the mammogram was abnormal. So it should have been taken care of 3 months ago, and we're only doing that right now. So you can avoid all this by having a primary care physician. Now, yes, you're going to be concerned. Some people are concerned about the cost. It may not be as expensive as you think. And having a primary care physician also, they can guide you through it. It's very affordable. And when you can do lab work, for example, like we do at Prima, I do lab work for my patients, and my patients benefit from the discount that Quest LabCorp give me, instead of sending them directly to Quest or LabCorp where it costs 3-4 times more. So it may not be as expensive as you think. Now, we have people coming with different situations. I see a lot of people with an international insurance where you have a very high deductible. You're not going to spend all that money at a primary care physician. So what we do at Prima is that we give you an itemized bill, which no matter where you go, if you have an international insurance, you can ask for that itemized bill, and you submit that itemized bill to your international insurance. Now, if you don't have insurance, it's possible, for you to come to a primary care doctor, because you can be a self-pay patient. And as Krystel said, a lot of you may have a green card and you qualify for insurance, you don't even know it. I had people who have been able to take Obamacare for $9 per month. So, we have the resources needed to help you through that by sending you to companies where they can sit with you and look at your profile and tell you what's best for you. Now, how can Prima help you? So as I'm telling you, the simplest way for you to take care of your health is to make sure you have a primary care physician. Now, Prima is a clinic that has been, open in the community for 1 year and 4 months now. I will share the number of the clinic, which is 305-217-7462. You can call us no matter where you are. We can guide you through making sure that you find a way to have access to healthcare. We do primary care medicine here. We do women's health. I do pap smears. We do the lab work right here. We have radiology, outpatient surgical center nearby in the area. And you can see more about what the clinic has to offer on our website, which is primahealthcenter.com. And no matter where you are, if you need help with your health, even if it's to guide you towards another clinic, we're happy to do that. You can call at Prima, because I know it's frightening when you have something that when it comes to the healthcare, I know that people have a lot of concerns. So this is what I wanted to share, to show you that it can be very organized once you find somebody who will care for your health and make sure that they guide you. And it's good also to have somebody with experience, in the sense that we have developed relationships where I can, for example, pick up my phone and call a specialist on his cell phone and tell him, please accommodate this patient for me. He's here for a period of time. They're going back to Haiti, and 20 years working with different specialists, we have a lot of resources that we will be happy to make available to you.
Thank you, Elizee. I have to tell you guys, I've been here for 3 years in Miami, and I've worked very tightly with a lot of Haitian doctors. And I can tell you that the dedication of the Haitian doctors to the Haitian community is unmatched, because I worked with Cuban doctors as well and other communities. They're great. But having in your network a Haitian doctor, whether it is a primary care doctor or a gynecologist or cardiologist, we have a lot of superstars in the community. If you do not know who they are, I make it a personal mission to know every single doctor in the community. So if you want to be in touch with a Haitian doctor, please reach out to me. I will put you in contact with Haitian doctors in the community. We have to support the community, and they are superstars. The head of the Miami the School of Medicine is a Haitian doctor, Dr. Marie-Denise Gervais. We have so many superstars. We need to make sure we're the first ones to support the Haitian doctors in this community. So I encourage you, and those that haven't been to Dr. Wasmey's clinic, go and visit. She's a very stylish person, and her clinic is stylish too. So go and check it out if you haven't been. Thank you. So now that you guys are taken care of, we need to make sure your kids are taken care of. And for any parents that moves here, a lot of people, they don't want to move here because they're like, oh my God, what am I going to do with those kids? You know, like I can't take care of those kids. Well, we have here with us Sophia, whose family has had a daycare for the past 10 years, and she took over the daycare. And I'm sure she's going to be multiplying those daycares all over Miami. Right now, she will tell you where she is, and she will share with us also some tips about schools, because Sophia's kids is also a magnet schools. So a lot of you considering and who have kids might be considering the public school system, the ones that have language programs. But we want to hear first all about the daycares and what tips you have for us, because I know if I had kids that were under 3, I would be panicking right now. So I'm sure you have the perfect tips for us to help parents calm down and know what to do. Okay, Sophia.
Hello, everyone. Well, first of all, it's thank you to Krystel for organizing this. This is bittersweet, really, because I know that for a lot of you, you're in the process of making a very tough decision that some of us have had to make recently as well. Our hearts ache for having to leave our homeland. A lot of us did not want to have to make these decisions. And so now that we're here, let's try to, network together and help each other out. So as Krystel says, in 2013, we've opened a preschool. We're in the North Bay Village area. North Bay Village is a small island that is in between Miami Beach and Bal Harbour. We're part of a bigger corporation, so we're an independently owned franchise of KLA schools. KLA is Kids Learning Adventure. They started in Brickell almost 20 years ago, and KLA has over 20 schools over the US right now. Most of them are in the Miami area. They have 13 of them between West Palm Beach and Miami. When you're deciding on childcare options for children under 4, it's very important for you to decide, what do you want? Do you want a place where your kids are just going to be taken care of during the day while you're at work? Or are you looking to give your kids a jumpstart on their education? So this is why we call ourselves a preschool and not a daycare. Because we start the kids' learning adventures since they're babies. So the stimulation that we offer children that are with us go beyond just taking care of their basic needs. It makes curious learners that will, because as you know, between 0 and 5 years is where children make the most neural connections in their brains, and that has a great impact on their future learning success in life. So when you're looking for a preschool, you have to look for take a tour is the very first thing, right? The pictures might look great online. You might see nice reviews, but it is very important to visit the place, get a feel for it, listen. Are you listening to children crying a lot? Are you listening to teachers who are raising their voices? You need to get a very good feel for how the place works, right? So don't do a quick tour. Take your time to really observe what is going on in the classrooms. And then another tip is to start early. So it's not only us Haitians moving to Miami. Miami has become a booming town since the pandemic, people from all over the US and all over the world are moving to Miami. We have families from Portugal, New York that call us ahead of time to schedule virtual tours with us to book the spots for their children. So right now, for example, our school from the 2-year-old to the 4-year-old class is completely booked with a wait list. The only spots that we have are for babies under 1 available, and we're not the only ones in the Miami area that are experiencing this, because the population has grown and there are a limited number of preschools available. Now, Krystel wanted me to talk to you a little bit about the process of finding a school for your older children, since I just went through that with my kids. So the very first thing there is for you to decide, what do you want for the education of your children? What is your top priority? My top priority was for my kids to maintain their connection to French. So that narrowed down the options that I was looking into. So then you go into, do I want a private school that offers a French program, or do I want a public school option? So in the public school options, there are 3, and a lot of Haitians don't realize that. So you have the neighborhood public schools. So those are the ones that are associated with a certain zip code that you need to have in order to attend that school. And those are free of cost. But you also have 2 other types of public schools that are free for children to attend. There are magnet schools and charter schools. So magnets and charters are also free of cost, but they are not limited to the zip codes that the children live in. So they're limited spaces, so they function with lotteries, okay? And again, the advice, the #1 tip is to start early. So the magnet school applications started October 1st, and they will finish on January 15th. The difference between a magnet and a charter: the charters are managed by usually by nonprofits. Some of them are for-profit schools, and they have more independence into what the curriculum is that they can follow. And for magnet school, they are managed by the local school boards. So here in Miami, by the Miami-Dade School Board, but they are allowed to focus their curriculum on certain areas. So it can be science, languages, the arts. So again, what is your priority for choosing that for your children? So look into the lotteries. Usually how they work is that you fill in an application and then you have to pass a test. So for example, my kids, they go to Sunset Elementary that has the French program. And way before we moved here, I applied. They were scheduled for a test in French because that's a program that they were applying for. And if you pass the test, then you get entered into the lottery and you have results, I think, around March. That doesn't mean that if you're not within that time frame, that you can't go knock on the doors of these schools to see if there are spaces available, because that has happened. That children leave during the middle of the school year, and that allows you to have a spot available. So I don't know if, one last tip that is usually something that takes time. All children that are schooled in Florida need to have a Florida pediatrician give them the yellow and blue health forms. So one of them is the immunization record of the children, and the second one is a physical that the child has to take, and it has to be done by a Florida pediatrician. So remember to ask your pediatrician from Haiti for the immunization record of your children and bring that, make an appointment early. It's very difficult to get medical appointments in Miami. So make sure that you schedule those ahead of time so that you can obtain those forms.
Thank you so much, Sophia. Thank you for all this information. I hope that those who have kids feel a little bit better prepared, or at least they know, they have an idea what the options are. And yeah, that's the idea. If you have the information and you need to look more in depth, you know, don't hesitate to reach out. And this is like something that's in between, you know, because if you're choosing the public school systems, for example, you have a question, I personally make myself available if you want to call me. And if there's anybody else that makes themselves available, please don't hesitate to reach out, because all those that are parents, we felt that stress. But yeah, I went through that stress 3 years ago. But I remember, like, and my son, when he went first to the neighborhood school, he would come back every day crying. And believe me, that's a stress. When you're trying to settle here and now you have to deal with the kid being depressed that he hates the school, it's very depressing for the parent that's trying to set, and that has their own stress. So if we can help, I'm happy to help if there's somebody that I can help with that aspect to answer a question.
To add that the yellow and blue form doesn't have to be filled out only by a pediatrician. It can also be signed by a family physician.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know, because if you need to go and see a doctor and you go and see a family physician, like who's
Because for example, I have families who come with their adolescents, their younger people, their younger, you know, children, and we can fill out those forms for everybody.
Merci.
It's simpler that the whole family comes in one place.
This is a very important comment, because I have to tell you, whereas we have a lot of family physicians that are Haitian, we don't have a lot of pediatricians.
Yeah.
Not a lot. I only know of one. So keep that in mind. Very good. So now we're almost settled, but we need to make sure that, you know, we have a bank account, we understand the banking system, because we're used to Sociébank, Unibank, but now we're here and there's a lot more options. It's not one or two options. We have a lot more options, and there are some basic things that we need to know. I couldn't think of a better person to talk to you guys about this. Somebody who is the manager of 2 different branches. You see, does so well in the banking system. One of my best friends from high school that I hadn't seen in like 20 years before I came back, because he's doing amazing things here at Chase Bank. So without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Krystel.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. So many learnings. So many good takeaways. I hope the people that listen to this video, they really take some of these notes down. I really liked that Dr. Said mentioned about the importance of getting a primary doctor, because if you make the mistakes that I've done and you go to a urgent care, the bill is a whole different story. But let's bring it back to banking. Banking, coming here, just a little bit background about me is I'm the son of an artist. I did not have much of a financial education growing up. So I did my degree in finance and in accounting. That helped me a lot, but I did this very late in my life. So when I came here, I did a lot of mistakes that I hope that those people that get to listen to this video don't make those mistakes. One of them is the fact that here, everything you do is tracked. Everything you do is recorded. And what they call your credit history is really your character. Is really, if you commit to pay back something, it's really, they measure how you pay it back. Are you a person of your word? But in Haiti, it's just a reputation. But in here, it's on paper, it's recorded, it's documented. So anybody has access to it. So before we go into the credit part, I want to talk a little bit about something that's going on a lot down here. It's the fraud. A lot of people, especially for job seekers, so people that are coming here, they're seeking for jobs. There is a ton of frauds with job seeking fraud, where they send you a check and they cancel the job and they ask you to keep a portion, send the check back. This is a fraud. Don't deposit that check. The banks have a bureau that very few people are aware of. Same as the credit bureaus that keep track of your credit. It's called Early Warning Services. And it keeps track of all the activities you do in a bank. So if you deposit a fraudulent bank at Bank of America, you try to open a bank account with Chase, we're gonna know that you were part of a fraud in BOA. And mind you, I believe in when I tell you most of the people that are in this situation are just victims because they found a job on whether it be I don't know any platform, online platforms where they mailed them a check and they thought they were getting a job. But if it seems too good to be truth, guys, bring it to somebody who's aware, somebody who's been in that situation, or somebody who works in the financial market, so who can give you advice. Is this really a true opportunity? Because most of them, they really look too good to be truth. Now, aside from this, banking in Haiti, in the US is pretty much the same as in Haiti, except from the fact that I mentioned that everything is tracked. I like that Gaetan mentioned that you need to have 3 lines of credit. So credit is the main differentiator between Haiti and the US. Now, one of the things I want to add to this is the type of lines impact your credit. So if you have 3 credit cards, those are all revolving credit, and they're not going to impact your credit card as your credit score as much as having different type of credit. So if you have a credit card, which is a revolving credit, you have a car loan, which is an installment credit, and a real estate loan, those things are going to impact your credit more. So let's talk a little bit about credit. Something I wish they would have told me when I came here, because just to share a little personal history with you guys. I started a business when I was very young, in my early 20s, and the business blew up. It was growing extremely well. And I was not aware of how to manage your credit and how to save, like what Gaetan mentioned and like what Raphael mentioned, because that down payment is so important. I was spending all the money that was coming in, and sure enough, I had to default on my credit, and it set my life back 7 years. I say 7 years because this is the time that companies are allowed to keep record on you. After 7 years, then unless you file bankruptcy, then you can move on and start a new life, which is what I did. But let's talk a little bit about credit. I want to leave everybody here with one of the most important tips about credit, which is the 5 C's of credit. The 5 C's of credit, what are they? The first one is the most important one, is the character. The character is your personality, is who you are, is do you own up to your word? So if you take a credit card, if you take a loan, you say you're going to pay it on that day. Do you actually pay it on that day? And how do we measure your character is with your credit report, with your credit history. We know what type of person you are. We know how valuable your word is for you and for others. And the second thing with the 5 C's of credit is the capacity. What is the capacity? Is you want to apply for a loan? Is what is your capacity to pay for it depends on what is your income, your debt to income ratio. So how many payments do you actually have already ongoing compared to how much money is coming in? And that's what's going to determine, do you have the capacity to pay back whatever you're applying for, whether it be to get a loan from Gaetan, to buy a house from Raphael, and to get it decorated with Cecilia. This is all something that you have to think of is your capacity. So be very mindful of that. And the next item in the 5 C's. So we already talked about the character, the capacity, and number 3 comes the capital. Capital is important because you need to save. Raphael mentioned that having a down payment opens up a lot of different options. But not only that, but having some capital in the bank also opens up how much credit can be extended to you, because you've been able to amass some capital. So it shows that you have some good financial habits. The 4th thing on the 5 C's of credit is the collateral. What is the collateral? The collateral is what it is you're using the credit to purchase. So if you're buying a car, if you're buying a home, or what it is you're using the credit for, the type of collateral can really impact the decision on your credit application. I've seen many people with perfect credit, excellent credit history, with the capacity to pay, with the good character, and they get declined because the collateral, let's say it's a house that has a very bad foundation. And so that's why that goes back to the importance of seeking the help of professionals, and making sure you talk to people that can help you to make sure that collateral is in good shape. The last C of credit So just to reframe, we spoke about character, capacity, we talk about capital, the collateral, and now the last one is the conditions. The conditions is the terms that you want to pay it back. Sometimes we'll extend credit for a certain amount of years, but not for longer than so, depending on your history, the conditions can change. Something else that affects the conditions, and a lot of people don't know that, but is your job stability. So how long have you been in this role? Are you somebody who jumps from job to job every year? And little do people know that's actually recorded in your credit history. If you pull up your credit report, it will show you your employment history as well. So if you're a job jumper, on a lender standpoint, it becomes very questionable if you jump and you don't find the next job, and are you going to be able to continue paying that debt? So the stability is very important too on the 5 C's of credit. And just to recap, I have to say banking here is very, very different from Haiti, mostly on the tracking and the record side. So those 5 C's of credit, anybody who takes this, if I wish they had taught me this when I came here, anybody who takes this and applies this will be successful, will be able to buy this house, to get it, go through Rafa, go through Gaetan, and through Cecilia, and have their kids that go to the pediatrician and the daycare, so you can have a successful life here. Chris, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you so much, Krystel. This could have not been a better transition for us, because now that we're here, we have to know the rules of the game. So this was the perfect transition for now, reality check. And I could not think of a better person to end this session than the guy that gives all the warnings. He didn't go to the first time when I moved here, but all the warnings, how to stay compliant with Uncle Sam, since we are not used, we don't really have the same kind of Uncle Sam here in Haiti as we do in the States. So I couldn't think of a better person than Pierre Saliba to walk us through what are those topics that we need to think about when it comes from the standpoint of taxes in the US. And Pierre's expertise is especially working with people that come from outside, not only of Haiti, works with people all around the world, but foreigners that are investing here, foreigners that are now here in the US after many years of being abroad or being used to investing abroad and now investing in the US. So Pierre, the floor is yours.
Krystel, thank you very much. And it's great to hear from you guys. And we all from that 509. Hey, can you hear me?
We hear you perfect. We hear you perfect.
Perfect. Good, because somebody was calling me at the same time in Germany. So basically, taxes, nobody wants to hear about taxes in the United States, but that's a fact of life. From the day we're born, from the day that we're going to die, they're tracking what we do and how we're going to pay our taxes. So what does that mean? Again, let me introduce myself. As Krystel said, my name is Pierre Saliba. I'm the managing partner of Finance and Marketing Solution Inc. We are a full service accounting from bookkeeping to taxes. We do domestic and international taxes in 6 countries, including Haiti. Basically, it's very simple. As of this morning, I just got an email from the IRS to warn all my clients. The IRS doesn't send text, doesn't send email, doesn't call, doesn't contact any clients on social media. This is the biggest scam that's going on right now in the US, when people want to steal your identity or your social security of yourself, your wife, and your children. So be aware of it, that the IRS doesn't call, doesn't text, doesn't email, doesn't contact anybody on social media. That's the biggest scam fraud that's going on in the US right now. The minute you come to the US, what do you need? If you are a US taxpayer for the IRS, that means you have a valid Social Security. Either you are a resident or a citizen, you are a US taxpayer. Most people have been calling me for the past 6 months or a year when they come in here, do I need to file my return? The first question I will ask them, when is the last time you filed your tax return? If you have not filed a return for the past 3 years, I will strongly suggest that you contact a CPA, an accountant that's credible to file your return for you. Every transaction you're going to make in the US, there's a good chance they're going to ask you for a tax return. If right now you want to buy a house, they may ask you for 3 years of tax return. If you're going to give residency to your daughter, your child, whichever they are, your spouse, your mom, your dad, you're going to need your tax return. If your kids are old enough to go to school right now to file for financial aid, you're going to need your tax return. So the tax return has become like a very pivotal point in the United States. As Krystel mentioned, many people come here, they're going to invest, they're going to do partnership, they're going to open a business. Know what kind of business that you are going to open. Every type of business is not the same in the US. And the tax code in the US is very different from the tax code in Haiti. Don't let anybody tell you what they want. What you get on social media is not the Bible. The only tax code is on irs.gov. When you cannot sleep, you can go, you can read it, more than 7,000 pages. But at the end of the day, we have one tax code in this country. Anybody can say whatever they want, but we are guided by that one tax code. Very important. Some people have never filed a return. What happened? They were born here, they were born in Haiti, and basically they never filed a return at any point in time. There's a way to bring you compliant in the system. You cannot file just for 1 year. If you file for 2021 right now, I can guarantee you in 3 to 6 months, you're going to receive a letter saying where are the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So there is a way to put in the system based on what you were doing in Haiti or whatever country you were living to bring you in the system the right way. That's the most important thing. Number 2, some people have filed when they were in the US, they moved back to Haiti. Since then, they have not filed. So that means you have a record in the system, you file at one point in time and you stop filing. So there is a way to bring you in the system the right way without having any problem. And last, the most important thing, if you were filing return previously and there was something wrong in the returns and you never took care and you move, the IRS keep on sending you notice to your old place, wherever you were in Carolina, in New York or New Jersey, make sure that you can pull a transcript in the system to see what do they have for you, what do you owe them, and what's going on before you file that first tax return. Extremely important. And at the end of the day, everything you're going to do in the US, almost every transaction you're going to be doing, you need your tax return. I don't want to scare you, but that's the reality. The tax return well done in the US, it's a continuation. If you do something wrong in the return in 2020, 2019, 2020, 21, it will come back to haunt you. And this is where basically I come into play when people don't want to play by the rules, and the rules in this country can make you rich or poor, because the IRS has a way to never let whatever you owe them go away. They have a way to go to court and to make sure you will pay them, whatever the amount. You can always make an arrangement with them to pay them. It's better you pay them, you make an arrangement, and you move forward. When you buy that house, for sure, your return will going to be important. If you're going to get healthcare, your income will determine how they're going to finance, give you some money on your healthcare. So every documentation that you're going to do in the US, they're going to ask you for your social. Many people don't know when they move back to Haiti that somebody in the US stole their social. The only way you know they stole your social, your wife or your children, is when you file the return and the IRS tell you somebody used that social already to take money from you. And that's where you basically panic immediately. So again, I am there to help you. My number is 305-613-3067. I'm at your disposal at any time. I'm the one that answers my cell, no secretary. I have my partners, but basically I pick up my phone, I answer to all my emails every day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pierre. And everything that Pierre said is absolutely true. I can tell you that from personal experience. And yes, he does scare people, but it's better to be scared than not to be scared and then be in a situation that makes us want to cry. So I think it's better to be scared by what Pierre says and take the right dispositions and seek the right support to make sure that to avoid being in a situation that's very difficult. And so anyway, thank you, Pierre, for that presentation and for those top tips. So that brings us to the end of this panel. So I would like to, first of all, we can give some virtual clap to all of our panelists. Thank you so much to every single panelist for all those very useful tips. We went a little bit over the time. We had scheduled 1 hour and 30 minutes of Q&A. So we will just take a couple of questions. I would say we will only take 15 minutes of questions. I will ask you, if you do have a question, please raise your hand. We will do our best to address them. I will be sending a message with everyone's contact to make sure that you can reach all the panelists that were here. But most importantly, we will ask you to share their information. This is how a community gets strong. A community cannot be strong if one person in the community is strong. A community is only as strong as the members within the community. You may not know, but we have done a lot of progress, the Haitian community, in terms of political influence. There is a lot of people, specifically in Miami, North Miami, that have political influence. We had some recent victories yesterday, the commissioners of North Miami, that are doing a lot for Haitians through their political influence. But we also need our community to have more financial influence as well, which, you know, we are one of the third largest community, but our financial impact influence is not as great. And it starts with people within the community working with each other, connecting each other to opportunities so that we can all grow and be able to really represent something more significant in the Miami area, Florida area, because the members of the community are doing better and better. So I will open it up for questions. You can raise your hands either on camera or virtually. Oh, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. You would have to enter through a different device. Use a different
you sound
device.
like Looney Tunes.
Yeah, we can't hear. You would have to use another device to connect. The computer is not working. No. Oh, it seems like it would work a little better now. Hello? Yeah, you would have to log in through your phone or something else, another device. Does anybody have a question? You can raise your hand using if you click on reactions, you can raise your hands. There's a little hand.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we do. Now we do.
I was saying, check the chat box. There were already questions there while people are thinking of new ones.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Okay. We have, oh, okay. Well, so we have a question for Cecilia. Cecilia, do you do store designs? Just your mute, Cecilia.
Yes, I did. I responded to
Okay, very good. So,
Karine. And yes, I do commercial spaces.
okay, wonderful. So yes, Cecilia does commercial spaces. Talking about businesses, next week, same time, we will have a different session where we will be talking about starting a business in the US. We have some people already lined up for this panel. It's gonna be an amazing session. We're gonna have a representative. We are gonna have Adrien Bisson that's gonna talk to us about marketing here in the US. We're gonna have Dan Alien that's gonna talk to us about payroll services if you're starting a business. We're gonna have others talking about franchise. Natalie Buziekowski talking about opening a franchise. I know a lot of you are talking about franchise. We have Colleen Stokia that's going to talk to us about working with a franchise and a small business since she opened shipping with FedEx and a small business. And we're going to have a few others that are going to be talking about starting a business here in the US. So I'm already inviting you guys, and we will be sharing that information. What other question do we have?
Chris, I just want to add something real quick. I just want to say that this is a much needed initiative in our community. I was talking to Krystel the other day and I told her, I think this is something that we should not only make it recurring, but also have a website where we can connect and we can link to each other. And Krystel said, you know, it's funny you mentioned that because that's exactly what the Jews do. They all share business with each other. They only refer to each other and it empowers them tremendously. So Krystel informed me that she was working on a website already where people can list their businesses and people can list their professions. So if you're looking for a service or a product, you can look on that website first. And if you don't find it, you can search elsewhere, of course. But I think it's a great initiative to keep the business within the Haitian community. And the more people join that community, I think the more empowering it will be for all of us.
Absolutely, Christian. You said something so important. Christian said the Jews will only refer to a Jew, but if you're Haitian, they're still referring you to a Jew. So if your network is way beyond Haitians, we're not referring just Haitians to Haitians. We're referring the Jews to the Haitian. We're referring the Cubans to the Haitian. We are referring anybody to the Haitians. But that's how we will be building our community, like the Jews have done it, like the Cubans have done it. And the impact, we cannot measure the impact by just talking about it because this just takes a life of its own. This initiative is not about a person, it's about a community, all of us. So as people get ideas, we need to implement things, do things. Let's talk about ideas, but let's also take initiatives. You guys might have other ways you can do things. This should be a movement and not a single thing. It should be a movement that we all take part in because it's about all of us, our families, and our future. So I have a Zoom user who has a question. It says Zoom user. Yes.
Zoom user, you're on.
Hi, thank you guys for this initiative. My name is Gregory Joseph. I've been following you guys with a lot of interest, and I want to congratulate you because when we have this kind of unity between the Haitian community, it always pays off. I mean, I just wanted to flag the first question from Krystel, who is also a participant about the TPS. I think her question was referring to the likelihood of having a new designation for Haitian nationals. And also my personal question was mostly about the H-1B visa sponsorship because I just moved like a couple months ago and I was wondering whether I can find a database where I can identify all the companies that can offer the H-1B visa sponsorship here.
Sure, no problem. I can address that. So I actually answered the person directly. When it comes to TPS, everyone knows we currently have open enrollment status for the TPS, but you have to show that you resided physically here before of July of last year, 2021. There are some initiatives being taken where we are trying to see if the US government will consider starting a brand new program for Haitians for TPS, which would allow people who came to the United States in 2022 to also apply. That has not been granted as of yet. We're not sure exactly when we will get that announcement. Hopefully it'll be at the end of this year, but we don't know. For TPS, the renewal will be in February. So we're hoping before February, we'll know for sure what's going on. Bottom line is, if you're here when they make the announcement, you will qualify if they decide to redesignate Haiti for TPS. As far as the H-1B program, it has been approved again for Haiti this time around. And if you go on the Department of Labor's website, you will be able to identify some of the companies that have already been pre-approved to take on temporary workers, and you can contact them directly. Okay. Hope that was helpful.
Okay, thank you very much.
I can add also for those who are thinking about investing in the US and get a visa through that way. I think it's important that before you make an investment in the business, to contact people like Patricia to learn about what the requirements are, because you might invest the same amount of money, but in the business that you chose might not qualify you for the visa. So make sure that you talk to an immigration attorney before you make an investment here, if the purpose is to help you get an investor visa to live in the US.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Do we have other questions? That was a great question. Thank you very much, Gregory, and thank you for being here with us. Like I said, we will be sharing this link. So if somebody could not attend today, please share it with people that can really benefit from what we spoke about today. We invite you to invite them to join us next week if they are looking to start a business, they have started a business, because even if you started a business, you might have some needs. Maybe you had a Jewish accountant and now you didn't know about Kia. So now you know about Kia. It's not because you just moved here that you have some needs. And same thing, maybe you've been here for a long time. You didn't know about Rafa, about Cecilia. You have a business, you're redecorating, remodeling. So we will be continuing. The conversation is continuing next week at noon. And we will be talking about starting a business. We will have somebody from funding, a Haitian superstar that will be here. There are some fundings available for Black businesses. Miolan Simeon is going to be our panelist next week. From that standpoint, there's a lot of grants, a lot of special loans if you meet certain criteria, but we don't have those kind of things in Haiti. So if we don't know, we don't even think about that. So make sure you connect. If you know people even thinking about opening a small business, tell them about this, because Haitians know the scenarios that other Haitians have better than somebody that's just, an American that's here, grew up here. They don't have the same problems, issues, thought process. Us, we have a more similar kind of background. So listening to what others are doing might be helpful. Do we have any other questions? Because I had said 15 minutes. We have about 2 more minutes before we close this out for this week. Okay, I guess we did such a good job. Like any question you could have thought of, we answered it. Wow. Oh, we have shy people. Well, if that's it, then we will gather next week. And thank you everyone for taking so much time of your day to be here with us. Thank you all the professionals that were here sharing about their experience, their tips. I appreciate every single one of you. And it's just a starting point where it's just a beginning. So let's have this continue, grow, so that our community flourishes even more, and that the new ones that come along, we welcome them, we help them so that they can really facilitate their transition if they choose to transition here. Okay, well, have a good afternoon, everyone, and wishing you a blessed weekend, an amazing weekend, and a safe weekend with your family. We'll be in touch very soon.
Bye.
Thank you, Krystel.
Bye. Good afternoon.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you, Krystel.
Bye.